Welcome to this overview of the academic performance component of the 2019-2020 sponsor evaluation. This presentation focuses on pointing out the things that you, the community school sponsor, need to know to help ensure that your school's academic data are reported correctly and completely in the timeframes allotted. The sponsor performance evaluations are made up of three equally weighted components: student academic performance of the sponsor's community schools, the sponsor's compliance with laws and rules, and the sponsor's adherence to quality practices. Once each of the three components has been evaluated, rated, and scored, those scores are then combined to determine the sponsor's overall evaluation rating. The points received for academic performance plus the points received for compliance plus the points received for quality practices equal the overall sponsor evaluation rating. Let's now focus on the academic performance component. The academic performance component score must align to the Ohio School Report Cards and is based upon all applicable report card measures prescribed for the state report cards under Ohio Revised Code 3302.03 for community schools operating as traditional school districts, or Ohio Revised Code 3314.017 for schools with designated dropout prevention and recovery programs. The academic performance component is also weighted by the number of students enrolled in each school in the sponsor's portfolio. Per Ohio Revised Code 3314.016b2, community schools open less than 2 full school years, and those where a majority of the students have a disability and are receiving special education and related services shall be exempted from the calculation of the academic component. Each school receives one of 2 report cards. Traditional community schools receive a traditional report card with up to 10 graded measures, up to 6 graded components, and an overall letter grade. Schools that primarily serve students in a dropout prevention or recovery program receive a different report card with up to 4 rated components tailored to their special student population. We use the data on these 2 report cards to assign weighted points to each sponsor for each school in the sponsor's portfolio, and those weighted points ultimately determine the 0 to 4 rating for the academic component. For each school, the applicable report card component grades will be assigned a numerical value, rounded to the thousands, based on business rules outlined in the component grades technical documentation. In calculating the total academic performance component score for each school, individual component points will be weighted based on the weights described in Ohio Administrative Code 3301-28-10. Per Ohio Revised Code 3302.03 C3 and Ohio Administrative Code 3301-28-10, each school's report card will include an overall grade, which will be used for the sponsor evaluation. The total weighted component points will be calculated by taking the initial component value and multiplying by the weight assigned to the component. The total weighted points will be converted to a 0 to 4 scale, as shown in this table. Each dropout prevention and recovery school receives an overall school rating of either does not meet standards, or exceed standards. The overall school rating of each dropout prevention and recovery school will be converted to a 0 to 4 scale, with the rating of exceed standards equaling 4 points, meet standards equaling 2 points, and does not meet standards equaling 0 points. Once each school's performance is weighted by its average daily membership, or ADM, the weighted points are summed, and relevant changes in the portfolio are addressed. The weighted points are converted to academic performance points using standard rounding rules to create the table seen here. Therefore, the overall 2019-2020 academic performance component rating ranges from A through F for community schools that receive an Ohio School Report Card and either exceeds standards, meets standards, or does not meet standards for community schools that receive a Dropout Prevention and Recovery Report Card. Every school reports their data to the department through our Education Management Information System, or EMIS. The department sets opening and closing dates when each type of data is to be uploaded into the EMIS portal. This list on this slide shows when we will collect different types of student data. As you can see, the year-end reporting window is open now and will remain open through the close of business on July 17th. During this reporting window is when schools report information about their students, everything from grade level to attendance data to demographic data to the codes for the programs or services that each student received through the school year. Because the data for the academic component comes directly from each school's report card grades or ratings, it's important to make sure that all data are reported completely and accurately. The department also establishes windows when schools report their assessment scores. This slide lists the reporting windows for fiscal year 2019 test results. As you can see, several different assessment windows are open today. Spring assessment scores for both the standard and alternate assessments should be reported now. Dropout schools should be reporting spring scores from the Northwest Evaluation Association's Measures of Academic Progress, otherwise known as NWEA MAP assessments. These are used to measure student growth. Schools should also be reporting other assessment scores that are used in accountability calculations, such as those that come from the ACT, SAT, and AP tests. Some assessment windows have closed. These tests factor into a significant number of report card grades and ratings, so attention should be paid by each school to make sure every score is reported and all numbers are correct. Note that the department moved to a single window for reporting the NWEA MAP scores used to build growth reports for dropout recovery schools. Schools report a test date now, and we use that date to distinguish between the first and second tests taken by a student. Graduate records for students graduating in the 2018-19 school year can be reported now, and the reporting window will remain open through October 18th. Schools also report financial data and staff data, which doesn't factor into the grades or ratings, but does get displayed on each report card. Districts should check all data, regardless of whether it factors into the report card grades or ratings. During the reporting windows, the department shows schools what has been reported through a web application called the Secure Data Center. As the name implies, this is a secure site that users access through their SAFE account. The superintendent of each school receives access to the SDC, and he or she decides who else is granted access to the data. SDC access is granted as a role in the Ohio Educational Directory System, or OEDS. Superintendents also decide which level of access, standard level or student level, is granted. In the Secure Data Center are two different types of reports, local report card and reports for analysis. The reports in the local report card folder show letter grades or ratings based on the data reported thus far. These reports are updated several times a week when the reporting windows are open so schools can see real-time information based on the latest data uploaded into EMIS. Dropout recovery schools have a separate folder where they go to see their data, while traditional community schools see their data in the school-level folders. The reports for analysis also shows data and allows schools to customize reports and also to drill down and see individual student-level data to make sure each student is reported correctly. In this part of the SDC, data are sorted by content such as attendance, graduation, or test scores. EMIS coordinators and other key school personnel should log in several times a week during the reporting season to make sure data are complete and correct. Once each reporting window ends, an EMIS data appeals window opens where the school has one last chance to correct anything that is incomplete or incorrect. Schools have about a week to file an appeal if they discover something is wrong. An appeal can be completed by anyone holding one of these roles in OEDS: EMIS coordinator, treasurer, superintendent, or superintendent designee. It is important to understand that while anyone holding the OEDS role of EMIS coordinator, treasurer, or superintendent designee may complete the research and prepare the appeal, only the superintendent can approve and submit the data appeal with the department. The form must be in the superintendent approved status to be considered by the department. Forms that are not approved will not be processed and no change will be made to the school's data. Towards the middle and end of summer, a number of appeals windows will open. Your schools should do one last check of their data in the Secure Data Center a day or two after each reporting window closes to make sure everything is complete. If something is amiss, an appeal should be filed so the data can be corrected. Sponsors rely on their school's EMIS coordinators and senior administrative staff to review their academic data to make sure it is reported correctly and completely in EMIS. The department has several resources that can help them get it right. EMIS collection calendars are published annually and can be found on the department's EMIS webpage. The EMIS manual, which helps schools understand what to report and which codes to use, is updated as needed. The EMIS data appeals information, including a guide on how to submit appeals, is posted and is updated whenever a new appeals window is scheduled. In regard to the 2019-2020 sponsor evaluation, sponsors are not required to submit documentation for the academic component, since the academic calculation is based on data from Ohio school report cards and/or the Dropout Prevention and Recovery school report cards. However, sponsors may want to check with their schools to make sure that the schools are providing the needed information into EMIS by the specified deadlines. The final ratings for academic performance, compliance, and quality practices, as well as the overall sponsor rating for the 2019-2020 school year, will be available on the department's website by November 15, 2020. This concludes the overview of the academic performance component of the sponsor evaluation. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or experience technical difficulties during the sponsor evaluation process, please reach out to department staff or contact us via email at sponsor.evaluation@education.ohio.gov.